Kids Playground.
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to my show. I'm Deron Harris. This is my show. What's good, everybody? How are you? How was your week this week? Hopefully everybody had a good week. Hopefully your mental health stayed intact. I know how hard it is to keep your brain focused and functioning right around the holidays. There's a lot of stress in the air, and I hope everybody is taking the necessary precautions to avoid said stress. With that being said, I want to wish everybody a merry everything, a happy everything. I want to wish everybody, first and foremost, happy Kwanzaa, and then Merry Christmas, and then I want to say happy Hanukkah, happy winter solstice. To whoever I'm missing, happy whatever it is that y'all celebrate in this time of year. I love y'all. Everybody, anybody who's listening to my podcast, I love you. You know, even the ones that don't necessarily agree with me all the time, I just want to make you aware that I have no hard feelings towards anybody out there. And it is, for me, really it is goodwill towards men. And that's why I do the podcast that I do, because I would like to expose a lot of the bullshit that men put men through, that we put each other through, that we do to each other. And it's bullshit. A lot of it is bullshit. It's got to stop. People just want to live. At the end of the day, people just want to live their lives, right? Everybody just wants to live their life in peace. They want a good neighborhood. You know, they want good food to eat. They want a healthy environment to eat. To live in for their kids. They want, fresh air in most cases. They want a lot of good things, just like everybody else. But a lot of times, we don't necessarily get those things. We don't get those things. A lot of communities, marginalized communities, and even communities of color even, don't get these things. And what I'm talking about this week is environmental racism. And let me say that again. Environmental racism. Now, some of you are like, environmental racism, what the hell is that? How can that be possible? Environmental racism? What is the trees? Trees don't like black people, Deron? No. It's not about the trees. Not about the trees or the streams or the rivers or the rocks. It's classified environmental racism or environmental apartheid. It is a discriminatory practice that disproportionately burdens marginalized communities with environmental hazards. Okay? That means some of these companies that we support, we go out and buy their stuff. These are the people that have these factories or these companies that spit pollutants out into particular neighborhoods or particular areas, particularly areas of color. It is a very real thing. Now, it's got some crazy origins. I'm going to read a few things, so bear with me. I'm going to read a few things that I wrote. I'm realizing I need to upgrade my prescription because I'm having issues, but I'm going to try to get through it, so listen to me. The origins. Historically, zoning laws, industrial siting, and waste disposal practices have disproportionately targeted low-income communities and communities of color. This has resulted in communities being exposed to higher levels of pollution, toxins, and environmental hazards. Okay? It's a very real thing, folks. You ever notice why certain neighborhoods, there's certain places in the country where there's more sickness in these communities, or more areas where, damn, man, everybody in this town got the same kind of cancer, man, and they happen to be, all Hispanics or whatever it is. That's because of environmental racism. Check your surroundings. See what is around. See what's around. See what is going on around you as far as the jobs. Even the jobs. Some of these people work at these places. Some of these people even work at these companies that are doing these things, thinking that they have a great job, but really it's a silent and slow killer of not just you, but your community, your children, everybody in your community, and it's being done to you deliberately. They make no bones about it. They don't care what happens to you. That is blatant. It's completely obvious that they do not care about the well-being of the citizens in these communities. And that's a shame. That's a shame. And the real shame is, like I said a second ago, we use a lot of these companies. We use and support a lot of these companies every day, effectively contributing to our own demise, while they take all that money straight to the bank. There are a lot of companies involved. And I mean, me personally, I believe that some action really needs to be taken. And I'm not talking about at a federal level. I'm talking about on like the straight up street level. The straight up street level. You don't get to put that here. Put it in your neighborhood. You don't get to put that over here and poison our air. You don't get to do that here. But yes, they do. They do it right under our noses. A lot of times they do it with us watching, and we just don't care. A lot of the communities don't care. Some people in the community go, oh, wait a minute. What are you doing? What are you putting up here? What is that? What you got going on right here? Oh, no, we can't have none of that around here. But the majority of people, they're just living life, man. They're just every day living life. Going out, doing the shit they do every day. They don't have a fucking care in the world about it. They don't care. I got the little cough, cough, hag, and that's, that's normal. Everybody's got it, right? That's what the fuck it is. Smoke too many blunts or whatever it is. I mean, whatever. But nah, sometimes it's not that at all. I don't smoke blunts at all. I don't smoke at all. I don't drink. I don't do nothing, but I'm sick. What the fuck? Look at your environment. Look into your environment. Look at your environment. Now, like I just said, there are a lot of companies that are responsible for these practices. And I watch the commercials on TV and I'm just like, you motherfuckers, man. You motherfuckers. And it just takes me all the way back to these things are great. These are great for these people, but not these people. But we're almost hostages to them. We almost have to do business with these companies. We almost have to do it. Well, who are the companies, Deron? Who are you talking about, man? What? You got me all curious. What the fuck you talking about? Well, I'm going to give you some companies that we do business with every day that have contributed to environmental racism. Okay? Shell. That's right. Shell gasoline accused of environmental racism due to its activities in the Niger Delta, impacting local communities. Now, I know what some of you racists that might be listening to my podcast, those Africans over there in Niger, wherever you want to call it, we call it nigger, whatever. I want to say off the bat, fuck you. This is very serious. This is a serious thing. And if you don't want to listen to it, then you don't have to listen to it, but I'm going to keep talking about it because it's a very serious thing. And if you want to DM me about it, you can DM me anytime you want to, and we can debate about it. But this is a very serious thing to a lot of people, and I will say that every podcast, because I know there's a lot of insensitive people out there. There's a lot of douchebags out there that just look for any kind of way to troll somebody or any kind of way to get somebody riled up or upset, and it's not going to work because I'm already riled up and I'm already upset about it. So all you're just doing is adding fuel to the fire. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to empower some people. I'm trying to wake some people up to the things that are going on around them. And that's why I do the podcast. I talk about a lot of heavy shit a lot. I talk about a lot of serious shit a lot. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to talk about serious shit because I need people to look around them. I need people, my people. And I'm not just talking black people. I'm talking about like-minded individuals like myself. I need my people to open their eyes to what is going on around them because it is going on around them. And I'm tired of sitting here letting it go on. This is what I try and do to get my voice out there so everybody else can use this as a point of power so that they can go out and get their voices heard too, so that we can all pull this together and we can make this shit go away. So like I was saying, a few other companies that were responsible. Another one is Chevron. Chevron criticized for its role in environmental issues in Ecuador, where indigenous communities suffered due to oil pollution. Dow Chemical is linked to environmental racism for the disposal of hazardous waste in minority communities. ExxonMobil accused of contributing to environmental injustices, particularly in communities near refineries and chemical plants. Waste management criticized for locating landfills disproportionately in minority neighborhoods. Now, those are just a few. Those are just a few companies. There's so many of them, folks. There's so many. You can't even believe it. You can't even get your head around how many companies signed up for this. They looked at the surrounding communities and said, nah, we don't give a fuck. Yeah, just build that shit right there. Well, what are some examples of environmental racism? I'll give you a few examples of environmental racism. One is Flint, Michigan. Okay? Remember what happened in Flint? Contaminated water supply. Disproportionately affecting predominantly African-American community. Remember that? That is environmental racism. Now, what happened? Let me read through this. The water crisis in Flint, Michigan, was primarily caused by a series of decisions made by various levels of government. The switch of the city's water source from Lake Huron to the Flint River in 2014 as a cost-saving measure resulted in the exposure of residents to lead contamination and other water quality issues. See what I'm talking about? To save money. To save money, they poisoned a city of people through the water supply. That's hateful. How did that happen? How did we let that get by us? It's because we weren't paying attention. We have to wake up. We have to start paying attention to the people that we put in office. Really, honestly. I mean, that's us. I mean, it's not going to ever be, as my mother likes to say, the clear folks. But it's people of color. We have to start paying more attention because the way things like this happen is really through politics and kickbacks and back alley treaties and all kinds of shit with these companies in order to have them do the things that they do or make the money that they're making. In order to make the money they make these deals with these people who really don't give a fuck about us. We have to start finding candidates who care about us. So when something like this is proposed, those candidates can stand up and say, hold on, not so fast. What is the environmental impact of the people in the community? Oh, well, it's this. Well, I need some documentation on that. And if it's negative, then no, you cannot build that here in this community. I'm sorry. And we need people that are willing and ready to step up and fight tooth and nail to prevent this from happening. I mean, who let it happen? Who are the people? And that's what I want to know. That's a lot of what I really want. Who are the people? What small room or room full of people sat there and said, okay, listen, there's this neighborhood over here. It's really kind of ran down. The people over there, they're really not the most desirable people, and there's a lot of drug use, and we're just we were thinking about buying up these couple of blocks around and putting up this factory. It'll provide jobs, and they hit you with the wool over your eyes. It'll provide jobs and security for the families in the neighborhood and so on and so forth. But really what it is it's spewing chemicals out all over all those families while we help to contribute to that. And don't get it twisted, some of these places won't even hire the people that they're poisoning. Facts. So who is involved? So what happened? Who was involved in this? What are the key figures? Who are the key motherfuckers involved in this crisis? Okay, well, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ. The department was responsible for overseeing water quality and treatment in the state. MDEQ officials were criticized for their role in not applying corrosion control treatment in the Flint River water, which led to the lead leaching from pipes. That was one. Number two, the emergency managers. Flint was under the control of state-appointed emergency managers at the time of the water source switch. These managers prioritized financial considerations over public health, contributing to the crisis. Number three, city officials. Local officials in Flint were also involved in the decision-making process. The failure to address concerns about water quality and respond promptly to residents' complaints exacerbated the situation. Number four was the governor, Governor Rick Snyder. The decision related to the water source switch were made under the administration of Governor Rick Snyder. While he acknowledged the crisis and declared a state of emergency, his administration faced a large amount of criticism for his handling of this situation. Absolutely true. It's bullshit, folks. It's bullshit. And they made that decision. Oh, yeah. And after the fact, we take full response. We're sorry, but the damage is done. The damage has been done. If you ask me, I think people like everybody that was involved, every person or every group of people that I named, all those people need to be prosecuted. Did you hear what I said, folks? Prosecuted. Including whatever company was behind it. The people at the top of these boards, the decision man, not the worker people, the people that make they need to be prosecuted. There's another example I have for you. There's a place in Louisiana. It's called Cancer Alley. It's a stretch of industrial facilities along the Mississippi River, impacting predominantly African-American communities. Cancer Alley in Louisiana is an industrial corridor along the Mississippi River known for its high concentration of petrochemical plants and refineries. The negative impact on lives, the local population, is attributed to the air and water pollution, as well as the exposure to hazardous chemicals. Specific companies contributing to this include ExxonMobil, operates several refineries and chemical plants in the region, contributing to air and water pollution. Dow Chemical has a major presence in the area, with facilities releasing pollutants that pose health risks to nearby communities. Shell operates petrochemical complex in Norco, Louisiana, contributing to the air pollution and potential health hazards. Valero Energy has a refinery in St. Charles Parish, releasing pollutants into the air and impacting the health of nearby residents. Formosa Plastics operates a petrochemical complex in St. James Parish, contributing to the air and water pollution in the area. Yeah. I could go on because there's a shit ton of them. A shit ton of them. So yeah, we got what are the impacts of this though? What are the impacts of this? Well, health issues. Residents experience higher rates of respiratory problems, cancers, and other health issues due to exposure to pollutants released by the industrial facility. There's also environmental injustice. There is a disproportionate burden on low-income and predominantly African-American communities, reflecting environmental injustice concerns. Number 3 is economic disparities. The environmental degradation affects economic well-being and the communities, impacting property values and limiting economic opportunities. Community displacement. Some communities are faced with the risk of displacement due to industrial expansion, further exacerbating social and economic challenges. Yeah. We have to do something, folks. Now, that's not to say that nothing has been done. There have been efforts made by local communities and environment and justice advocates to address these concerns and hold companies accountable for their impact on the health and well-being of the residents of Cancer Alley. But it's just an ongoing hot issue. That's all it is. It's just a issue right now. They're talking about it, but like so many other things, they just turn away from it. They just turn a blind eye to it. Okay, duly noted, and they turn away from it. On to the next, because we don't matter. We don't matter. We've never mattered. And this is why that phrase is so important and is so poignant. We've never mattered. We got to start mattering to ourselves. We got to start mattering. Now, you're talking about a lot of black people and black. You're okay. All right. You're right. So I got something else for you. How about uranium mining disproportionately affecting Native American communities? Okay. How about that? Uranium mining industry in Navajo country, particularly on the Navajo Nation reservation, has a complex history of involving various entities. Historically, uranium mining took place on Navajo lands, often without proper regulation and environmental safeguards. Some key aspects of responsibility include mining companies. Several mining companies operate in the region, extracting uranium for nuclear weapons production. During the mid-20th century, companies like Kerr, McGee, and United Nuclear Corporation were involved in mining activities. Number 2, get this. The U.S. government played a role in promoting uranium mining during the Cold War for national defense purposes. Atomic Energy Commission was involved in regulating the industry. Lack of regulation. The lack of comprehensive regulation and oversight allowed mining operations to proceed without adequate consideration for environmental and health impacts. The greatest threat to the Navajo people from this industry is long-term health effects associated with uranium mining. The mining and processing of uranium can result in the release of radioactive materials and and heavy metals, leading to radiation exposure. Residents, miners may face exposure to radon gas and other radioactive elements, increasing the risk of cancers and respiratory diseases. Water contamination. Uranium mining can contaminate groundwater, affecting drinking water sources and posing risk to both human health and the environment. Environmental degradation. I have such a problem with that word. The impact of mining operations extends beyond human health, affecting overall ecosystem and wildlife in the region. Cultural impacts. Yeah, cultural impacts. The mining industry has disrupted traditional Navajo way of life, including displacement of communities and damaging to cultural significant sites. They don't matter either. They don't matter either, folks. What matters is big business. That's what matters. Big business. Not people. Not people. Not people of color, anyway. We have to change that. Number 4, East Chicago, Indiana. Lead contamination in primarily Latin and African-American neighborhood. The lead contamination in East Chicago, Indiana is associated with historical industrial activities that has led to severe consequences for local community. The primary contributors include DuPont, U.S. lead, lead poisoning, exposure to lead, especially in children, can lead to serious health issues, including developmental delays, learning disabilities, and behavioral problems. Lead poisoning is a significant concern for residents in contaminated areas. Public health crisis. The lead contamination has created a public health crisis requiring extensive efforts to address the immediate health needs of the affected population and to mitigate long-term risks. Housing crisis. Yeah, folks. Nobody thinks about this. The housing crisis is one thing. The contamination of lead to the condemnation and the evacuation of residential areas. So the whole areas can be like condemned. Where do these people go? Where do they go? And this happens with marginalized and low-income populations bearing the brunt of this. That's their consequences for this, folks. They hadn't done anything. Number 5, Standing Rock, North Dakota. Standing Rock, North Dakota. I don't know if you've heard about this. It was in the news real heavy a few years ago. It's about the water pipeline. The pipeline threatens the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Not black people, okay? I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about natives. Actual natives. Not these fake Merca natives. The Dakota Access Pipeline, DAPL, has been a source of controversy for the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and the indigenous environmental activists. Several concerns have been raised about the pipeline's impact on the tribe and the surrounding environment. Number 1, water contamination. The pipeline crosses the Missouri River just upstream from the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. Any oil spill or leak could potentially contaminate the tribe's water supply, affecting not only the reservation but also millions of people downstream who rely on the river for some fucking oil so people can stay rich. Cultural and sacred sites. The pipeline traverses ancestral lands and sacred sites of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Its construction and potential spills pose a threat to the cultural heritage and sacred places, undermining the tribe's connection to the land. Fuck them Indians. Fucking terrible, folks. That's terrible. And we support and vote for this shit, by the way. We support and vote for this shit, by the way. That's how little we fucking care about people. I don't give a fuck about you or your ancestral lands or whether or not you're poisoned or contaminated. We don't give a fuck about you. The environmental impact. Construction and operation of the pipeline can have negative environmental consequences affecting ecosystem and wildlife. The disruption of the natural environment can have lasting effects on the tribe's traditional practices and resources. I'm just disgusted by that. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by a lot of shit but I'm disgusted by that because these people, I mean, they were almost fucking eradicated from here. So they were put on this land, and now you want to come over and fuck this land too. It's just, why do we keep letting it happen, folks? Why? I mean, why do we keep standing for it? Why do we keep electing these motherfuckers? I don't know, man. Why do we keep patronizing or giving, why do we keep, why? Why do we keep giving our money to these people? Why? Why don't we stand up? Why can't we stand the fuck up? Why? I don't understand. And I'll tell you why, though. I do understand. I actually do understand. And my understanding is the reason that we don't stand up and say it is because we don't give a fuck. We don't care. We don't give a fuck. There's so much shit in our environment that has our heads so focused on other shit that we can't possibly give a fuck about the shit that's going on right under our noses that is killing us. We just don't see it. We don't, or we do see it. We just don't care about it. That's a problem. We got to start caring. We got to start caring. Negative impact on communities. Environmental racism leads to adverse health effects, economic disparities, and reduced quality of life. Communities face higher rates of respiratory issues, cancer, and other health problems. Okay? All right, folks. Environmental racism affects various communities across the United States and is associated with health impacts. The associated health impacts can vary. While it is challenging to pinpoint specific illnesses in each community, here are 10 areas with historical or ongoing environmental justice concerns, along with general health concerns associated with such issues. And I will get into that when I come back from this break. It's the Deron Harris Podcast, folks. I'll be right back.
History doesn't just happen, it's made. As General Motors strives to be the most inclusive company in the world, we support those who electrify the future and charge the next generation. That's why Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Cadillac are honored to support the Southwestern Athletic Conference. General Motors, honor history, make history. Watch History in Motion at gmmakehistory.com.
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
What's good, folks? I'm back. Thanks for staying with me. Today I'm talking about environmental racism on the program. Before I left, I was about to give you guys 10 places where environmental racism is taking place and what is happening. So number one, and some of these we've already talked about. Number one is Flint, Michigan. The prominent illness is lead poisoning, and it's due to contaminated water, resulting in developmental issues and cognitive deficits. Number two, Cancer Alley, Louisiana. Prominent illness, elevated cancer rates associated with exposure to industrial pollutants from petrochemical facilities along the Mississippi River. Number three, the Navajo Nation. Prominent illness, higher rates of respiratory issues and cancer due to uranium mining and water contamination. Number four, East Chicago, Indiana. Prominent illness, lead poisoning from soil contamination, leading to developmental issues, especially in children. South Bronx, New York, New York. Prominent illness, asthma and respiratory problems due to air pollution from traffic, waste facilities, and industrial sources. West Oakland, California. Prominent illness, respiratory issues, and cardiovascular problems linked to air pollution from port activities and industrial facilities. Robbins, Illinois, prominent illness, elevated cancer rates associated with pollution from nearby industrial sites and waste facilities. Duplin County, North Carolina. Duplin, I don't know. North Carolina, prominent illness, respiratory issues, and adverse health effects from concentrated animal feed operations, CAFOs, and industrial hog farming. Harlem, New York, prominent illness, asthma, and respiratory problems due to air pollution from traffic and industrial sources. Kettleman City, California, prominent illness, elevated rates of birth defects, and respiratory issues associated with exposure to hazardous waste from nearby chemical waste. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. Those aren't the only cities. Here is a more comprehensive city. 1, Flint, Michigan. Number 2, Cancer Alley, Louisiana. Number 3, the Navajo Nation. Number 4, East Chicago, Indiana. Number 5, South Bronx. Number 6, West Oakland, California. Number 7, Robbins, Illinois. Number 8, Duplin County, North Carolina. Number 9, Harlem, New York. Number 10, Kettleman City, California. That was 10, right? But number 11, Houston, Texas, various neighborhoods. Number 12, Oakland, California, various neighborhoods. Number 13, Manchester, Houston, Texas. Number 14, Pensacola, Florida. Number 15, Wilmington, California. Number 16, Richmond, California. Number 17, Summit, Colorado. Number 18, Amjowinnings First Nation, Ontario, Canada. I don't even know why that's in there. That's in another, but still, that's where it's happening too. San Carlos Apache Reservation in Arizona, and Pembroke, North Carolina. That's where this is taking place. That's just 20 places. There are so many more, folks. So many more. So many more. How does it get to be like that? How does it get to be like that? So many of these companies just get to operate the way that they do with little to no regard for the people that they are poisoning. They make these, and make no mistake about it, if you were making plastic, you are putting toxic shit into the air. Simple as that, folks. I don't give a fuck what it is. Oh, we're playing with Barbie toys. Barbie put toxins in the fucking air. Okay? A lot of this shit, and we just eat it up. Oh, we have to put these things somewhere. Well, yeah, just not fucking in my neighborhood. All this land here that you could do all kinds of shit and do it right, too. You could do it right. But no, what you did is you chose to put it in our neighborhoods. There's so much uninhabited land in this country. In each state even, there's a bunch of land where nobody lives around here. But they put it right in our neighborhoods. These communities face environmental justice challenges, including exposure to pollutants, hazardous waste, and other environmental hazards that contribute to the health disparities and socioeconomic inequities. Another thing is politics. Political motivations often involve decisions favoring economic interests over community well-being. Lack of representation and systemic inequalities contribute to these decisions. Environmental issues include instances of environmental racism are complex and can involve actors from both major political parties. It is important to recognize that individual politicians within a party may have different standings on environmental policies. So it's not a Democratic thing or a Republican thing. Okay? Because it's both sides of the aisle. All right? It's both sides of the aisle. Both sides of the aisle. And these companies, they buy these people. And that's all they really do. They fucking buy these people. And it's a shame. Now, there are some people that are out there that are trying to help. And shout out to these companies. And I will get to that in just a second. But the companies are one thing. It's got to come down to our level, folks. It's got to come down to us. Some of these companies, they can help us out, but if we're not helping, then it doesn't really fucking matter if they help now, does it? Because it's still happening. Okay? Because at the end of the day, and people always, you're always talking about race, because it is. It's about race. And the reason I talk about it is because it's got to not be about race. It's got to not be about race. It can't always be about race. It can't. But it's hard when it's all this shit has been done based on race. Based on race. And you just want me to shut the fuck up about it and not say or acknowledge or try to alert people to it, or you're just talking so much about it. Then don't fucking listen, man. That's all I got to tell you. That's really what I got to tell you. It's just don't fucking listen. Because I'm going to talk about it every time, man. Every time there's any kind of injustice like this, anytime there's any kind of bullshit-ass injustice like this, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something. Now, like I was saying, there are some companies that are out here. There's some companies that are out here that are really trying to make a difference and help us along. And I have a list of those companies also. And we'll go ahead and get to that. Right off the bat with number one is Patagonia. This outdoor clothing company and gear company is known for its commitment to environmental sustainability and social responsibility. They support various environmental and social justice initiatives. And they make some great clothes. I have some Patagonia stuff. It's very warm. And I'm going to have to go put some of it on here in a minute because I'm very cold because it's wintertime where I'm at and the heat's kind of off and the building is large. So, I'm going to need some stuff from Patagonia. Number two, Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company, has been vocal on its issues of social justice, including environmental justice. They engage in efforts to address climate change and support fair and equitable practices. Three, Interface, that's the name of the company, a global flooring company. Interface has focused on sustainability and environmental responsibility. They are committed to reducing their environmental impact and promoting social equity. Number four is Etsy. The e-commerce platform Etsy has been recognized for its commitment to sustainability and social responsibility. They emphasize the importance of ethical sourcing and environmental considerations. Number five, I would have never believed this, but Microsoft. The tech giant Microsoft has pledged to be carbon negative by the year 2030 and has initiatives to address environmental challenges. Their commitment includes considerations. Yeah, their commitment includes considerations for environmental justice and equity. REI, or Recreational Equipment Company. This outdoor retail cooperative is dedicated to environmental stewardship. REI engages in efforts to promote sustainability and reduce its environmental footprint. Ecolab, a global provider of water, hygiene, and energy technologies. I hate that shit. And energy technologies. Ecolab focuses on sustainable practices and environmental responsibilities in its operations. Now, that's just a few. There are a lot more. Unilever, Interface, The North Face, Procter & Gamble, Verizon, Intel, Walmart, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, General Electric, IBM, Goldman Sachs, Vivint Solar, and Target. These companies have engaged in sustainability initiatives, environmental justice advocacy, and efforts to reduce their environmental impact. It is crucial to research and stay updated on companies. You got to do it, folks. You got to do it. Stay up on these motherfuckers. Stay up on what they're doing, because some companies go from good to bad, but some companies go from bad to good. Some companies realize. Some companies want to make a difference. Some companies want to make a change. Some companies want to make a change. Some companies want to drop that bullshit. They really do. These companies also openly fight against racism. That's what we need. That is what we need. Google, IBM, Bank of America, Cisco, Walmart, Johnson & Johnson, all kinds, Viacom, CBS, Visa, all these people are making initiatives to stop that bullshit. All of these companies, Nordstrom, Spotify, Netflix. I mean, I could tell Netflix is down with black folks. And it seems like a lot of these streaming companies are. And that's cool, because we got stories to tell too. It's our environment, folks. It is our environment. It is our environment. Our environment is a very, very, very important part of our daily lives. And we have got to wake up and start understanding that our environment, where we live, how we live, is very important to the well-being of our people. Not just our personal well-being, but the well-being of our people. And ultimately, the well-being of all people. The environment in which you live. It's just like the body, right? When people get sick, it's because the environment within their body has become so polluted that your body starts cutting out on you. It's the same thing here, folks. The environment. We have to create our healthy environments for ourselves, because we cannot leave it to anyone else. Okay? Well, folks, I hope that this was informative for you. And like I said, if you got something you want to say, you want to DM me, we want to talk about it, hit me on my social media or on my website, DeronHarris.com. Or you can hit me on any of my social media platforms. I have pretty much everything. I don't have Snapchat. And my Twitter is inactive. I don't really fuck with my Twitter because I've moved away from that. But you can hit me on my Instagram or my Facebook fan page. It doesn't matter. My name is Deron Harris, spelled the same way every time, Deron. T, sometimes, that's my middle initial, and Harris, Harris. So if you want to leave a comment or anything like that, you're more than welcome. If you have a point that you'd like to make, or you want to revisit this topic, or you have, like I said, you got something you want to say, get at me. We'll chop it up, man. I look forward. I invite it. I look forward all the time. I got the green light from my producer that, I'm good to start taking guests. So I want to hear what everybody has to say. I want to hear what you have to think. And maybe in the future, some of you or some of my listeners can come on and express your concerns or get some stuff off your chest. So that's one thing that I wanted to get off my chest, was this thing about environmental racism, because I've just been reading about it a lot, and I think it's the shittiest thing in the world. But we if we know about it, then we can do something about it. You know what I'm saying? If we know about it, folks, then we can do something about it. So spread the word. Tell your friends. Get them to listen to this podcast. Even if it's sometimes I'm a little long-winded, but it is what it is. There's a lot of information, and I just want to make sure everybody has all the information. We need all the facts. We need to be in possession of all the facts in order to do battle properly. So that's what I'm talking about. You take these people, you take it straight to the hole on their ass. Take it right to the rack on these motherfuckers. They'll sit in boardrooms, but we could do it in the streets. We could do right out in the streets by sitting and protesting, by electing people that won't do this to us or any other community for that matter. That's going to do it for this episode of the Deron Harris Podcast, folks. I do thank you for joining me. I really do. But I want to thank my wife because she's amazing. I want to thank my parents because they gave me life. And they gave me a pretty good environment. They really did. My father and my mother both worked to give us a good environment to live in. And I'm thankful for that. So I want to thank my parents for that. I want to thank my best friend and producer, Jesse Yandel, for putting me up to this. I want to thank Gentry Thomas for giving me the platform to do it on. And I want to thank everybody. Last but not least, I want to thank all of you for joining me every week on my podcast. And thank you to all the new people that joined me this week. I really do appreciate you. I know it's probably kind of hard to go back and listen to some of the old podcasts where I didn't really, and I know some of these podcasts, like recently, they kind of hard too, but hopefully I'm getting better for you and providing you with better content. And stick with me. It's just going to get better. So I won't see you guys before the Christmas holiday. So like I said, everybody, you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. I love you all. Spend some great time with your families. Eat some good Christmas dinner. Praise whoever it is that you praise. Cherish whoever it is that you cherish. Hug the neck of the people that you love. Let them all know that they're important to you. And I will see you guys next week. Next week. So until then, I'm Darren Harris. This is Darren Harris Podcast. Peace.
You've been listening to the Darren Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DarrenHarris.com.
Look for Starbucks coffee in a grocery store near you, then sit back and enjoy the exceptional taste of Starbucks at home.